Our first category we are doing is solve inequalities from coordinate graph. So if you click on that, it's like a timed category, so it's kind of weird. I want to warn you that if you press start and you get something wrong, let's just say I want to get this one right the first time. I'm not going to explain this one yet. I'm getting it right the first time, and then I get it wrong the second time. So if I go like that, it's wrong, right? So if I get it wrong, it cancels, like it stops my score at 1/7. So I just want you to know that you have to be very careful. You need to get 7 correct in a row to get the points for this, I believe. Okay, I don't know how to make it not cancel your grade and stop it at 7, so I tried. I don't know how to make it stop doing that, but yeah, just be careful. You need to get 7 correct in a row. Anyways, so now that we've talked about being careful about your score, so now that we know how to do the score, let me actually explain how to do the problems. So it looks pretty complicated. However, I'm gonna tell you it's not as complicated as it looks, because this graph, or this equation, it's the quadratic, it's the curvy graph. And then this line, -8, that's this blue line. So you're saying the curvy graph should be greater than the straight line. So all you have to do is pay attention to this symbol. So do you want your curvy graph to be greater than or less than? In this case, it says greater than. And what that means is you want to find the solution for the part that's above the blue line, because you want your black curvy graph, your black parabola, to be above, greater than your blue line. So you want to take this section. This section is between certain x values. It starts at the x value of 0. So x starts from 0 and it goes all the way until x is 4. So you want all the x values between 0 and 4, because this is the section of the graph that is above the blue line of -8. So we want the black graph to be greater than -8, the blue line. So you want your black graph to be above. So that's why we take this section. So we want everything between 0 and 4. And literally that's this one. This is the x values literally in between the 0 and the 4. Like, look how it's placed. 0, x, 4. The x is in between the 0 and 4. So this one is your answer for the first one. I think if I click it, it's just going to go to the next one. So this is your answer. Before I click it, are there any questions? And let's click it. Okay, so like I said, once you click it, it kind of moves on to the next problem. And so here we have another situation. We have an absolute value graph. That is the V-shaped black graph over here, and we want it to be less than 4. 4 is the blue line right over here. So we want our black graph to be less than or below the blue line. So where is it below the blue line? It's below in this little section right over here. In this section that I'm kind of highlighting right here, the black graph is below the blue line, and that's what we want, because we want our black graph to be less than the blue line. So less than means below, so that's this section. This section, it goes from the x value of -1 all the way until the x value of 3. So we want all the x's between -1 and 3. So literally take a look at this one where the x is actually placed in between the numbers -1 and 3. So it must be this one. Before I click it, because once I click it, it's going to disappear. Are there any questions? I'll pause the recording. Click. All right, let's do a few more. I want to see at least a couple examples of a certain type. I'm looking for them. So here is our black graph, and we want it to be above, so greater than, so above 2, the blue line. So we want the sections of the graph that are above the blue line. So that's 2 sections right over here. There's a section on the left and there's a section on the right. We don't want anything in the middle, because all that middle stuff is below the blue line. We want it to be greater than or above the blue line. So there's 2 sections of x values we want. This section on the left side, right over here where my mouse is flailing around, this section starts from the -13 and it goes to everything less than -13, everything to the left. So that is x is less than -13. And then on the right side, this is everything from the -1 and to the right. So -1 and greater than. So we want x to be greater than -1. That's this section right over here. X is greater than -1. You can see that reflected in this answer choice right over here. And also notice the word or in between, signifying that there are two separate sections. The x is less than negative 13 and the x is greater than negative 1. So that's two separate sections where we want our answers to be, but we don't want the stuff in the middle. So therefore, this is your answer choice. Before I click it and make it disappear, are there any questions on this one? Okay, so this one. All right, let's keep going. We have the quadratic equation, so the black graph, and we want it to be less than negative 2. Negative 2 is the blue line. So less than means we want our black graph to be below. Less means below, so we want it to be below the blue line. So that happens over here and over here. So notice again, there are two sections to this. There's a section on the left, there's a section on the right. We don't want the stuff in between because the in between is above the blue line. We want less than, which is below. So this section on the left, it starts at the x value of negative 2 and it wants everything less than that, to the left of that. So x is less than negative 2, reflected on this answer right over here. If you look on the right side, you want x values of 10 and greater, so everything greater than 10, that's this one over here. Notice the or in the middle of the answer choice shows that there are two separate sections to your answers, and that's kind of what we want, right? We want this section and we want this section, but we don't want the stuff in between. So this is going to be our answer. Are there any questions? Let's click it. All right, so we just did 4 examples. I guess I could just, well, I kind of want to finish it. So quick examples to recap. You can pause the video when you're, rewatching it later on. If I want it to be greater, I want the stuff in between. That's that one. This one, I want it to be greater, so that's above. So that's the stuff in between. So that's this one. This one, you also want it to be greater, so that's the above. That's this stuff in between. And we got 7 out of 7, so I'm going to stop. Let's go back, and then we can go to another category over here for the next video.